shall we say, more aged members of this group. I'm
Yeah,
again.
that's us.
Yeah, but I'm afraid I have to disagree with you, Vicki. I prefer caution in terms of my own health and my family's health to the convenience, which otherwise is unquestionable, of an in-person meeting.
Okay, I just thought I'd throw it out there. I just think that this is going to be very difficult to do a lot of this Zooming.
Let's discuss it during the meeting and we'll.
I mean, I'm basically still in phase 2, but I mean, I just kind of feel, I mean, you know.
Mike, you are by far the quietest person on this. Could you perhaps speak up a bit or do something to make your microphone louder?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit forward when I was just getting my documents ready. How's this? Is that better?
That is much better.
I really wasn't saying much. That's probably. Anyway, what time is it here? We're at, oh, not quite yet. So are the people from Industry Standard here, Tricia?
Yes.
That's first up as I have it on the agenda, correct? Yeah. And
Yes.
we're broadcasting on YouTube?
We are, yes.
So I call the August Planning Board meeting to order. Note that, of course, we have a quorum present, and we are continuing this on Zoom pursuant to the governor's executive order, which is extended his original executive order, the latest being 202.55, which extends it to September 5th. All right, so first up is Industry Standard, who now owns the library, I believe. And if the applicant can step forward or, you know, speak up and tell us the nature of the project and what they're looking to do.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Doug Larson. I'm the architect and agent for the applicant. And we've got Matthew Breimer on the line and Benjamin Falk. Those are the fellows who bought the old library and would like to transform it into something exciting you'll hear about in a minute. And I have Melody Swanson from my office who has prepared the documents. So if we have to, when we dig in later, we may need her help. So this is really our first informal meeting. We're starting with a sketch plan review as it's suggested in the zoning code. We had applied for site plan and special use permit. The education component might require the special use permit, but we've since talked it over with Drew, and it looks like the zoning was not written for the type of education we're talking about. So it's just site plan review that we're here for. And we also submitted a lot merger application at Ray Jerkowski's suggestion, because in order to develop the site plan further with the engineering required, we need to merge the lots.
Is that what just came today?
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's more than 50 pages just for part of it. I haven't had time to look at any of it.
Right, we saw that you wanted the deeds, and the deeds, there's a lot of pages of deeds, so we were following instructions. So basically, just to put this in context, we know we have more work to do. We need to design a septic system. We need to design runoff mitigation, and we need to submit a landscape plan, a lighting plan, and drawings, rudimentary schematic drawings of the building. But this is really our first discussion. We have met with Drew and Ray to make sure that we had fully investigated the zoning and engineering issues. And so we know what we need to do next. But this is really just to begin the dialogue and to have Matthew and Ben tell you about their vision for what they'd like to do on this property and the uses that they'd like to have. And then based on your comments from this meeting, we'll continue with our engineering and come back to you when we're ready with some of those pieces in place. So I'm going to turn it over to Matthew, who's going to describe his vision for this piece of property.
Great, thank you, Doug. It's a pleasure to be here, and great to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. Thanks for hearing us out and sort of getting this conversation started. I put together a short little presentation that I'd love to share screen if that's okay. So I'm going to do that just to sort of explain a little bit more visually what we're planning. So it looks like screen sharing is disabled, so maybe we can turn that on. Not sure who the host is to do that.
I think you should be good to go.
Oh, here we go. All right, perfect. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So we are industry standard, based right here in Pine Plains. We're focused on creativity, community, and opportunity for a more resilient and inclusive future. So first of all, hello. Wanted to put a couple of faces to names here. So, our team is sort of family coming together as a core team, along with additional folks. We're Matthew, Benjamin, and Whitney. I'm Matthew. Benjamin is in there, and that's Whitney as well. She's not on this call, but she's part of our team. And then, of course, Doug and his team are architects. We live and work here in Pine Plains. Whitney and I live right in Willowvale. Our family does too. So we're here. Our professional backgrounds range from being backgrounds in education, in grassroots community building, design and furniture, music, arboriculture, and also home renovation. We love history, especially local history here in Pine Plains. The annual Halloween tour, graveyard tour, is one of our favorite events. I still have to think about who I might want to be next year, if they'll let me. Anyway, and we also have a track record of creating successful businesses and new forms of education. So to begin, we really started with curiosity. We bought the old library building last year, and we're excited about transforming it into a destination and community hub that can inspire. To be totally honest, we really didn't know exactly what the project should be. We didn't want to sort of be that presumptuous that we knew what the place should be. And so instead, we thought, well, let's see what other people think. And so for the last year or a year and a few months now, we've been having just lots of conversation with folks and local community members to kind of find out, what does Pine Plains need? What could be beneficial to our local economy? And just asking people, what do they think the old library should become? And so from all of those conversations and insights, we've been coming up with ideas that we think is something really special and serves the community. So first thing we did when we bought the building, just a minute of history. First thing, we want to make sure we keep people safe. The entire building was covered in asbestos. Asbestos siding, asbestos in the windows, asbestos in the floors. It was a tricky situation. So we remediated all of that, worked with a professional team, took care of all of that. It's safe and non-toxic now. And from there, we had sort of a canvas, that we could sort of think about and work with. And so, while the building was in its early cocoon phase, we really saw an opportunity. Hey, before we really, sort of break ground and create something here, it's right in the center of town. Let's bring in some art and creativity. And so we work with George Baker, the art teacher at Stisson Mountain High School, and commissioned 8 student art projects. You may have seen them if you've walked or driven past, and put them up on the exterior of the building. We covered all the, paid for all the supplies and canvases, and then we even gave each student a commission as payment for their work. And it's a really special exhibit. Definitely check it out if you have a chance. Probably some of the biggest physical art pieces that some of these kids have created, and it's we're really pleased with how it turned out. Just to give you a visual, this is sort of what it looked like right after the asbestos was all remediated, and then here's what it looks like now. The other sort of first initial project that we did was we initiated wanted to support the restaurants in our community, all 7 restaurants in Pine Plains when the pandemic hit, and so we organized a community fundraiser to provide direct cash grants to all of the restaurant employees, part-time and full-time, across all 7 restaurants in town. And so in about less than a month, we've gotten over 100 families to donate over $28,000 and are able to provide direct financial assistance that did not impact people's taxes to over 70 people, all of whom were part-time and full-time employees at all the Pine Plains restaurants. And we were really happy to sort of do that to support our fellow community members. And so now what is it that we're creating? So industry standard, we're really thrilled about being able to tastefully restore and renovate the old library building and turn it into industry standard, which we really envision as a mixed use destination offering a few things: retail, learning opportunities, place for community gatherings, and nourishment. And so we sort of see a few different components and parts, which we'll get into, and Doug will show us probably some drawings that we can take a look at, but really see a few components here. First is the workshop and studio. So we really see this as the center of learning, really participatory hands-on learning opportunities and offerings, both in the digital arts as well as physical hands-on craftsmanship. So everything from podcasting and video production to woodworking and 3D printing. We also are excited about having a small general store, which can be we're thinking sort of a curated mercantile offering a variety of locally made goods and necessities. We're planning to have a small cafe that'll provide healthy food and drink, for body and soul, all from local purveyors. And then the garden, and that's the outdoor space, having some outdoor seating and some cultural programming in a really natural environment, keeping a lot of those trees and that sort of beautiful natural environment out in our backyard. Programming from outdoor film screenings to storytelling and poetry readings to sort of hands-on, maybe horticulture lessons. And then last, really, the question is why, right? Why are we doing this? Why are we spending our time and talents? Why are we sort of coming up with these things? And a few reasons. One, Pine Plains is our home. We live here, our family lives here, and we're committed to the community for the long term. This is a really special place. We love it here. And so we want to invest our time and talents. Secondly, we feel like we've really seen and heard the needs of Pine Plains and the region. And we feel like we've incorporated that into our vision of what the old library could become, and taken a lot of those insights and sort of imbued them into what we're thinking. And then third is we're really true believers in the power of community to come together to solve local problems and overcome things like adversity and divisiveness and inequality. And anything that we can do to sort of support that, the better. And then fourth, we also really know the power of bringing people together over shared interests, shared meal, breaking bread, or shared experience, being able to help, cross lines and create new possibilities just by sort of gathering in meaningful ways. And then last, we really recognize firsthand, and this is a lot of my background and Ben's background as well, recognize firsthand the benefits of learning valuable hands-on skills, both digital and also physical, that can turn into a new hobby or even a new job or a new career path for folks. And we want to help foster and encourage those sorts of learning opportunities right here at the center of town. So thank you for sort of listening and going the little journey with me. And I'm going to pass it over to Doug to look at some drawings.
Thank you, Matthew. I think now we probably need to screen share the drawings we submitted, which I think, Tricia, you said you could do, right?
Seconds.
So we compiled sort of a lot plan and a conceptual layout, including the structure and how Matthew and Ben see the garden laying out, sort of a conceptual diagram of the building, which is kind of where we are. We haven't designed anything yet. This is really conceptual because as we're starting the sketch process, it's really about the use. What are the uses here? And what things is the planning board going to be concerned about?
One second, I'm just looking for the drawings. I apologize.
I can hold them up.
Okay, 1 second.
Oh, that's the,
That not it?
the lot merger, yeah.
I'm sorry, which one, exact one are you looking for?
The A100.
A1.
That's good. Yeah, that one, exactly, this one. Well, I can talk a little bit while you're finding them. So the first page is really the area plan that the sketch plan application asks us to fill out. So you can see Main Street and Church Street, and you can see the everything's backwards. So I have to learn to move my finger backwards. There's Stissing House right there. Here's the clock tower. Here's the insurance agency. And here's the old library building right here. There we go. So the old library building is number 1 in the center, and the additional 2 parcels that were just purchased and they closed on this afternoon actually are parcel 2 and parcel 3. So that's area plan is requested by the sketch plan review. You can see the other businesses in the area. So I guess we should go to the next page. Sorry, my phone's ringing here. Okay, so the next page is conceptual layout of the entire site once it's merged. Down at the bottom, you can see the existing building, which is in gray. And we'd like to put an addition on the back, which can sort of open to the garden and leave the old library largely the way it is. We need to rebuild some of it because some of the foundations are not great and the framing is sagging a little bit, but we'd basically shore it up and replace it in kind if we had to rebuild some of it. And behind it, do an addition, which is would address the garden. And that would be sort of a public space that opens through glass doors out to the rear. The existing building would have 2 main functions on the first floor. One of them would be a cafe. And we thought about the idea of opening it to the town park. It'd be a nice place to sit and look at the town park. And we're thinking about some kind of structure there, which could be donated to the park. And when I was in town hall this week earlier, I picked up the 2015 Dutchess County planning study that they had done for Pine Plains. And it's amazing that they had suggested exactly the same thing. So you can pull it up and take a look. Anyway, in the rear yard, then once the lots are merged, we need to come up with a plan for the septic system. So we're anticipating with our engineer fitting in a leaching area somewhere in that shape of the property. Where Matthew's taken to calling it a llama because it's sort of shaped like a llama. You can see the head up there at the top and the main body. So we're anticipating that the leaching field will be somewhere in the center, but that's subject to engineering and perk tests and all of that. But as you exit the rear of the building through the new addition, there could be a green wall against the back of Jack's building. It faces south, so it's an interesting place to try some experimental plantings that can reinforce the ecology of the area. And then as you go back through the lot, sort of a glade area that could be a gathering spot for talks, late night movies, or a concert, something like that, some kind of event space back there. There is a shed back in the corner that is being used for storage, but it would be nice to repurpose it for something else. We'll have to get into that because sheds that close to the lot line aren't really, it's up for debate what the function can be according to the zoning code. We're anticipating a fence all the way around, basically to enclose the area and be not impinge upon the neighbor's privacy. There's a few apartments back in there. Then there's a way up in the head of the llama, there's sort of a little glade there as well, which could make a nice park, or perhaps we use it for additional stormwater pits or leaching. The service part of the site would be best handled along the driveway on the adjacent lot. And that currently belongs to Doug Weaver. And he and Matthew and Ben have been talking about sharing that as access to both of their properties, because we will need a dumpster, we'll need a generator, we'll need a propane tank, and there is a need for a little bit of parking off the main street, both for Doug and for the uses that Matthew and Benjamin are proposing. So that's sort of the basic concept of how to lay out the site, sort of blue sky, a proposal on the table up for discussion. Now, Tricia, we can go to the next page. I think, the next page is, we can actually probably skip this. This is just the ecology of the area. Okay, the next one is a concept for the building. So this is what we would call an exploded axonometric. Maybe scroll all the way down and we'll start at the bottom. Okay, so there is a basement under part of the building right now. So we would use part of the basement for mechanical, and then any new construction in the rear, we would excavate and pick up additional space in the basement. That would be storage, restrooms, perhaps some support for the kitchen. We're anticipating using the upper level, so we're probably going to need an elevator to meet ADA requirements. So the basement that first lower level is all below grade, so you don't really see that. And if you move up to the first floor, you see a cafe on the northern side with that porch-like pergola opening.
This is ridiculous.
Small kitchen and a general store sort of along the street. And then in the back, the addition we imagine being sort of a more airy open space, open to the garden. So we're calling it an atrium. There's support functions with all of those things that need to come along with restrooms, storage, things like that. Okay, let's go to the next one up, second floor. We need a place to have the workshop functions that Matthew was talking about, and a studio for those, for the education component and the experimental the video studio, things like that. And there needs to be a few offices so they can run this place. And then we have more elevator, staircase, restrooms, and probably an overlook to the garden. So that would be the second floor, that's enclosed. And then the next level up would be sort of even with the roof line of the old library, a little place to arrive outside and have a roof deck up there covered. So there would be a roof over it. So some indoor space, some outdoor space up there, a way to overlook the garden in the rear and overlook the clock tower at Stissing House toward the street and watch the parades perhaps. And then on top of that, we would put the mechanical, and we're also talking about solar panels. So there's definitely a green component of this project. So that's how we see the uses stacking up in the building. So that's really where we are right now. There's no designs, there's no, we don't know what it looks like yet, other than we'd like to keep the streetscape sensitive to its neighbors and do something interesting facing the garden. So I think that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything, Matthew or Ben?
Thank you, Doug. I think that you hit almost every note. I appreciate you going over that.
Okay, so I guess that's really what we have to say tonight. Turn it back over to the planning board and we'll hear your comments and see what more you'd like to learn.
My first question is, where does it stand as far as acquisition of property and like, do you have a picture of what it is now, what parts you own, what needs to be acquired, what's looking to be merged?
Sure. I can take the first part of that one, and then maybe Doug, you can speak to the lot line
I think
merger.
Matthew answered that, yeah.
Yeah, so all the property has been acquired. We bought the old library parcel, 7806 South Main, a little over a year ago. And then we just recently closed on the other 2 parcels that are just land just recently. So we now have closed and fully own all the parcels involved. And now it's just a question of connecting the lot lines.
So there is, okay, so there's no other parcels, no other lot line adjustment from other people. It's just going to be merging pieces, correct?
Merging our own parcels, correct.
And what was the issue? There was a use issue that you discussed with Drew, and is that involved in this then, or are you gonna have to go for ZBA, or what's going on with that?
Well, we're coming here because the zoning code requires that we come for the uses. We need site plan approval for the uses they're proposing. So their site plan approval, let's see, what are they? They are office, arts, cultural, restaurant, retail. They all need site plan approval. We thought the education component might need special use permit, but when you read in the zoning code, it clearly refers to large public education, not a small training as a business. So I think we don't need a special use permit. At least that's our reading of it. And I think Melody and Drew had that exchange the other day. So that's why we're here, for those uses. The way the code is written, we should come to you and say, these are the uses we want. And you should, the planning board tells us what they'd like to see to support those uses.
Could you mention a little bit more about the access you mentioned with Doug Weaver? How is that going along?
I'll let Matthew answer that because he's spoken to Doug most recently.
It was actually Ben.
Oh,
Why don't you?
sorry.
Yeah, and you talked to Doug today about that. So
Yeah, I'm happy to speak on that. We've worked with Doug on a number of projects already and established a good professional relationship. And now that we are neighbors, we've got a good personal relationship as well. He and us are amenable to using his parking lot access as a back entrance to that spot for parking and other trash services and propane and possible generator. He's very amenable to figuring out how to do that. And details, we'll have to work out as we work through this project, all of us together. But at this point, he's aware of our temporary plan, as it were, and wants to help us kind of achieve this. And we also want to allow him to have parking back there too for his units and his tenants as well.
Okay, that's well, positive, very positive.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody
Warren,
else have any questions?
I was gonna ask Warren, do you have any comments at this time?
No, there's really not much to comment on from a legal standpoint. We'd have to see more detailed plans for the project, and I'm assuming at some point Ray and I would both have to weigh in on it.
Is there anything that the planning board thinks we should investigate further or come back with more further details on, other than our septic and a site plan? Any use concerns?
Well, the septic issue, that is a good question. There's enough to satisfy the Department of Health 100% guideline and all that regulation? Enough room?
In my conversation,
We're just gauging the engineer now.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I think Doug tried to put a septic back there at one point. Didn't he want to have a laundromat?
Yes.
Been
And
on the planning board a long time, Vicky.
Too long.
in my conversations with Doug regarding all things septic, he's been very optimistic about gaining, proper percolation back there, and he doesn't seem to worry at all, which, given his line of business, makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about employing his services and the installation of whatever we would need back there. But we are, because we did close so recently on the two other parcels, we have not had an engineer back there to dig any holes or do any formal perk tests, but that will happen pretty quickly now that we've acquired those two lands. Based on what my conversation with Doug has been, though, he seems very optimistic that we'd be able to get proper percolation, and we shouldn't have a problem with septic back there. Knock on wood, that's a big one.
Ray, can you, were you able to go out to this site? I believe there was you had a visit scheduled.
Yeah, I actually had met with the applicants to take a look at the site to review what their proposal was, and shared some items that they'll obviously need to address associated with the site plan. They are increasing the footprint as far as the building with the new addition. So one of the things that they'll have to deal with is stormwater runoff because of the increased impervious area, especially based on the proximity of the adjacent buildings where the barber shop is. It's located right next to it. So they'll have to deal with stormwater because there'll be additional impervious area. They'd also talked about the potential of some outdoor space. So there was a discussion of the type of materials to be utilized there, which they're still in the process of evaluating. But again, trying to reduce stormwater. There are a couple items regarding easements that'll have to be dealt with on the property. The property that they have acquired surrounds the insurance building. So the insurance building septic is actually located on the applicant's property. So there will have to be an easement developed for that. In addition, the joint use of parking area, as well as the refuse enclosure and storage area, there'll need to be an easement for that between Doug Weaver and the applicants as well, as far as how that space is going to be utilized, maintained, and so forth. So those are two items that will need to be developed as the plan develops, and then copies of those easements will have to be submitted to Warren's office for review. Since it is a change of use as far as the overall building, it will be required that the project obtain health department approval from Dutchess County Department of Health for the septic system. And as they've indicated, as the applicant has indicated, they've engaged an engineer to start that evaluation. But to me, I think that for the applicant, that'll be the largest obstacle, is obtaining that approval from Dutchess County Department of Health, especially if there's going to be a cafe or some sort of food service associated with the building. because there'll be separation distances and so forth, as well as part of that process, the engineer is required to show the approximate location of any and all septics within the area, not only on their property, but within 200 feet of their land as well. So again, it'll be interesting what they find when they locate and map out the area of the septic system for the barber shop and where that is located. Because that parcel doesn't have a very large footprint. We also talked about lighting and landscaping, which the applicant identifies they need to develop as the project develops, as well as associated details with the refuse and storage enclosure. There was a mention of a pergola while we were on site, but you didn't mention that during the presentation. So maybe you want to discuss that topic a little bit as far as the town park, because there is a pergola involved in the project as well.
Yeah, back on the site plan that we showed, there was sort of a, I think it was a purple rectangle along the northern facade of our building, which faces the town park. Let's see, yeah, it was purple, yeah. And we had also and come up with that idea sort of independently. And then we noticed that the Dutchess County Planning was showing it too on their 2015 study. So they kind of had the same idea because it is a wall, and the park could use a little amenity sort of along those walls. And I think Matthew has spoken to someone at the on the beautification, the town beautification.
Yes, I'm actually Vicky on the screen below me here, and I and a handful of others are on the town beautification committee, and so we've been throwing around lots of ideas and possibilities together, and a pergola has been one of them. And so in our effort to create what we're creating and kind of support the community, we thought we would love to donate the creation and installation of a really beautiful pergola, sort of right on that lot line in the park, but near the lot line of our building. And we also offered that we would pay for its ongoing maintenance and upkeep, so there would be no sort of cost either for installation or for any upkeep to the town. And it would be a gift to help support something that's very, very public and right in the center of town.
Yeah, so obviously, since that's town land, then there would be, once it's erected by the applicant, there'll actually need to be some sort of an agreement between the applicant as well as the town as far as the donation of that is and the upkeep. So that agreement would have to be reviewed or prepared by Warren as far as that goes. And it would have to go before the town board for approval, because obviously that is beyond the planning board as far as accepting that. That would actually have to be accepted by the town board. Right. The only other item had to do with the use of the outdoor space. They did indicate that there may be movies or music outside. So one of the items that was identified was the potential as far as noise and to what extent that noise generation may be, and any potential impact to the neighboring properties. So again, their engineers should evaluate that and at least provide some data to the planning board, so the planning board can consider that as it reviews the project.
Also, Ray, wouldn't they have to go to the town board also for the gate to the garden, which is on the back side of the pergola?
Correct. That is correct, yeah. Yes.
So would that have to be made as an easement? How would you do that from the town park so that they could go through that back thing?
I had just anticipated that it would be part of that same, if you would, agreement between the town and the applicant as far as the pergola. So I would assume it could be dealt with.
I don't think it should. Okay. I mean, the pergola is a great idea. We've been discussing it. It's, we're not exactly sure for the town beautification committee. I think my main concern was the gate where it is.
Mhm.
I
Is there
just-
another spot that you were thinking, Vicky, as far as the location of that gate, or?
No, there's only one spot for the
Right,
gate. It's in the corner.
right. Okay.
I will say, if it's helpful, we do at the point of it being a sort of maybe like a wrought iron gate or something very sturdy, is that it would be locked during closing hours. So during the day or during the evening when business was open, it could create a sort of a pass through, and then it would be locked and secure. That way there wouldn't be any sort of security or privacy issues after hours.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference, Vicky, if there was nothing there? If they didn't put a gate, it was just a path. I mean, it's just the
Well,
property.
right now there's a fence up. Right now you can't get through. I think my point is, this is town property. It's the town park, and then, so people will be going through there. I was just wondering about how the town feels about that. Or the town board would feel about an entranceway from the town park.
Right, so obviously that would be an item that goes before the town board.
Right.
But quite honestly, I think the town board would actually request input from the planning board regarding that. So at the appropriate time, I think that'll be beneficial.
Okay.
As far as that type of correspondence.
Ray, if I may comment or answer, I guess if we give some additional color to the noise question, we've been putting a lot of thought into that as well. And I actually spoke with Dara about it recently, and she described that there is no sort of official noise ordinance in town. However, do fully recognize that we are right in the center of town, and there are other buildings and homes around, and of course we want to be good neighbors and good citizens. We're, of course, there's the beer garden, right, which has music and tends to make some noise, certain evenings. I think that facility is probably going to be more noisy than we would be, but something that we'd be happy to entertain and discuss and explore in future conversations is entering into an agreement with town board to limit any sort of amplified music or amplified noise after a certain hour in the evening, and happy to sort of be forward thinking about that, just so everybody feels good about it.
Yeah, and those type items actually could be dealt with at the planning board. So it could be as part of a conditional approval, if you would. And again, the reason that I raised it during the site meeting and before the planning board, obviously, is the planning board considers seeker on the project. Noise is one of the items that has to be reviewed or should be reviewed. And I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the town board. And again, that's mitigation, and that's a great way of potentially mitigating it as far as, avoiding amplified type of music and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also I was part owner of that, the garden store. I can tell you there have been a lot of complaints over the last few years. There have been people who wanted to have a noise ordinance. So just to be aware, it's, and yes, they do make music, but if you're going to have music at night in the center of this town, it carries, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's something that, I have no trouble with it, and I live next door, but I know there are a lot of people, as far as Ryan Road, as far as out of town, that do complain about the noise.
Mm-hmm. Totally understood and hear that.
So I think, and you're in the back there, you have neighbors, it's not much different than it is over here.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you envision, just as far as the concerts or what type of music or?
Sure. So I think that I think I heard someone say late night concerts, and that's a bit of a misnomer. You know, we really see it as something that is decidedly more tame than the beer garden. So I'm hesitant to kind of use that as an example or
And I don't-
comparison.
Good, because there's a
Um,
lot of nights that's pretty
yeah.
tough. So.
Yeah, totally. You know, what we're excited about is doing outdoor film screenings, hanging a sort of retractable screen and doing outdoor film screenings, which we get a lot of interest in conversations and people being excited about that. Doing storytelling, doing poetry readings, maybe having some outdoor comedy. You know, would love to sort of keep the option for music, but you know, I don't anticipate doing like loud rock bands all the time, you know, more sort of acoustic things when it comes to music, but really a variety of, you know, maybe spoken or film programming. That's kind of what's more up our alley.
Okay, so
I just want to bring up one more issue, which I think we could use some direction on. I think we've been reading the zoning code fully, and there's some areas that might indicate that we might need to go to the ZBA because we have a building that's non-conforming. And so I want to, it's very difficult to understand whether we need to go. I think Mel and Drew had an exchange about it's because we're closer than 5 feet to one of the lot lines and there's no building there, which is the town park, we might be limited in our percent expansion. So that's one issue. And I want to see if we could get a determination of whether we need to go to the ZBA or not. Because if we need to go to the ZBA, it would be good to know that we could end that, we could enter that into our development line.
And the Pine Plains is on the right for the traffic light.
I don't think we can. I mean, I think we have to look at that, right?
That's in the media. That's in a different town.
Tricia, can you mute
They
Ken?
closed down a lot of churches.
Thank you. Warren,
I can't hear. Who is talking right now?
I am talking. So
No, I know you're talking, but who was talking before that?
Oh, there was some crosstalk from Ken, but we got it muted. So as far as what Mr. Larson just said, what do you we obviously have to look at that. We can't probably answer that right now as far as ZBA.
Well, you're going to have the applicant is going to have to develop a more formal, even for sketch plan submission with a project narrative that anticipates and discusses a lot of these zoning issues. You can see an example of the other application that came before us, which we're going to discuss next. And we're going to have to take a look at that. Has Drew made any determinations about the multitude of uses on this property and how they conform to our zoning code? Is Drew here?
Yeah, Drew's here. Drew, you're muted.
I don't know where he is. Okay.
There we go, unmuted.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, we have discussed the uses and, the retail use, the cafe certainly seems straightforward. There's some question on this educational space and how we're going to deal with that. And Melanie and I have been talking about it this week because it's really not an educational space as described in the zoning. So I think it's going to be something that we're going to find a place in the zoning that conforms to it better.
I think it would help if we had a more detailed project narrative and discussion of the proposed uses for the site. So Drew could take a look at it. I'm going to want to take a look at it. Ray is also. So that brings me to the next issue. That we're going to have. Ray, have you established an escrow for engineering review? Or
No, not as of yet. I was going to send something off to the chairman off to Michael after.
I actually had them establish an escrow when they talked about the meeting.
Oh, good.
The site plan with you. It's a small one, but we can.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
There is a small escrow. I had that done when they suggested a site.
Okay, because you're going to need an escrow for legal and engineering review.
Gonna have to grow.
And it'll probably be smaller, larger than what you have now. And for a project like this, I would probably want to prepare an escrow agreement with the applicant. So is there an attorney representing the group that I can communicate with on that?
Yes, we can make an introduction.
I'm sorry.
Yes, we can, I can facilitate.
Yeah, if you can
that
get me that
introduction, Laura.
contact information, what we usually do is I speak to Ray and find out what he's going to be billing for the project and what we're anticipating for an initial funding of an escrow account to cover those reviews. And then I prepare a formal escrow agreement. And then we draw upon that as we start reviewing the documentation. But when do you think you're going to have a more detailed sketch plan submission package for us?
Well, we're engaging the engineer now, and he's going to do the perk tests. And then we have to balance the leaching field with the occupants in the building, and that'll help determine our square footage. So that's going to be an iterative process over the next couple of months, probably. And then we need to back into what we can do in the rear yard, as Ray was pointing out. We're hoping not to cut all these down, but it may be a cost-benefit negotiation between the septic system and the square footage of the building. So we were just hoping that we pretty much know the footprint we'd like to do, and we've got that previously existing non-conforming setback. I think it would be good to get a determination on that, because that doesn't really, it's not a function of what we're proposing, other than it limits us in the square footage expansion that we would consider. So we should, between now and our next submission, we can look at that text in the zoning code.
My recommendation to the applicant was based on the very small footprint that the exact, that the site contains, and in light of the fact that they're going to have to get health department approval for a new septic system, and there's already an existing septic system on the property, and they have to deal with storm drainage and separation distances, I do believe the largest challenge regarding the project will be the septic. And as such, my recommendation to the applicant is to obviously get their engineer engaged and start the dialogue with Dutchess County Department of Health, make an initial submission to Department of Health, because that's going to dictate the size and uses of the building, quite honestly. Once they get some initial indication or information back from the Department of Health, I think at that point, then it's more appropriate to come back to the planning board and continue the planning board process. Otherwise, the applicant could be spending, a few months before the planning board working on details that will change and potentially dramatically based on the outcome of the septic system. So like I say, I think the septic system is actually going to dictate a large part of how this site is developed. So I think it's important to get that feedback from the Department of Health first before moving too far forward with the application process.
Yeah, I agree with Ray. I mean, how you develop this parcel will be to a large extent driven by the health department requirements, which it's going to be challenging for you, I can tell you right now. So that may be your first order of business.
Yeah, that's what we've been planning, and we took Ray's start, and we couldn't go in and do the test bit. They closed on the property, which was today, so we'll get that right away. And I hear you, Ray, that the size of the building may be dictated by the size of the septic system. The parcel is one of the larger ones in town at this point, so there is hope, but we'll see, I guess, run the calculations.
Ray, I take it you'll type up those observations and recommendations in a memo and
yes,
send it out.
Yep. Yes, I will.
So I mean, I think that's the plan of action going forward for you, Matthew, to approach the Department of Health, create a narrative and work on your plan, and then we'll take it from there. We'll get the escrow set up, Warren interface with your attorney. As far as the concept, I would say as the board members, I mean, barring maybe some issues with the outside music, I would assume everyone likes the concept or has has positive feelings towards this project.
Absolutely. It's a great effort, and we wish you luck. I wish you luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd agree with that. I have one question about security at night after hours. Are you going to have a locked gate, or is it just going to be open in the back?
That's a great question. So we're planning to have pretty much the entire perimeter of our property with a nice looking natural wood sort of high fence with appropriate gates at particular points. So that way it'll give some privacy and some security to the surrounding parcels, and also keep things kind of contained in our property. And then after hours, all that'll be locked and secured. Nobody will be able to get in.
Okay, sounds good.
So that's going to go all the way around your property? Like through the parking lot? Is that what you're saying? Otherwise, if it's just along the back of Jack, your garden out back by the other garden and down, then from, it looks like from the picnic area garden down to the, you end up at the parking spots and then all along through there. Is that not going to be, will that be fenced also? I mean, how else do you secure it?
Oh, yeah, Vicky's right. Vicky's right. We didn't show it all the way around. We sort of came around the head of the llama, but then it sort of picks up with a fenced enclosure. And then we get to the support our troops sign parcel. And I didn't draw it all the way around. I think if the planning board would like to see that,
you're going to fence this whole thing
we should add.
with a high fence.
Well, I don't think we should be fencing in front of the support our troops sign unless anybody feels differently.
No, I agree, but you said you were with the fence and then with gates, and you would be able to secure it that way. You can secure the backside of it, but
we could, yes, we could go back behind. But is that something you think that the planning board would like to?
I hate fences, so I'm not even for a fence all the way around.
I probably
on the board will
misspoke.
say that I hate fences. So
I probably misspoke in the full perimeter.
Just not all, all through the parking area and stuff. I would not want to see that. That's all. That's my own.
Totally.
I think the gate is definitely something that where I think access should be discussed. But I agree with that. We probably should not fence the whole thing unless the planning board feels at the next meeting that we should, or part of it. Maybe we cut through behind the dumpster or something. But right now it's open. Doesn't really seem to be a security issue. And I think Matthew and Ben are trying to keep it open to the community. So a fence, I think along that side maybe sends the wrong message, but because there's work going on with the Black Oak Builders site, and people there thought that would be a good neighbor. To put a fence there would be being a good neighbor. So that's why we showed that one. But we're totally open for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, for sure. I wasn't thinking about the full over by the parking lot. I was thinking more about the sort of fence just to keep a little bit of privacy between the Black Oak building and some of those back areas and the sort of upper lot line of our property. And then of course the gate leading into the town park.
Yeah.
And that's all detailed.
Well, I'd like to see the other maps that you gave.
Do we need to address it?
I'd like to actually see the lines, the lot lines.
Oh, so that's actually in the lot line application. We have 2 surveys. Is that worth sharing now, Tricia? Or is that, well, I guess so, it's on the agenda.
Well, you took those to the town board, right? I mean, to the town hall today?
I'm sorry, which one are you looking for, a survey?
The 2 surveys, the survey from the original parcel with the old library. And then there's another survey that's combined. with the parcels.
They're at the town hall now, right? So we can look at them.
Yes, that's
We
correct.
can go and get them. Yeah, and look at them.
That's correct. That's correct. But as Ray points out, when they get merged, the easements will have to be rewritten. So there are easements on these surveys which benefit the parcels that are meaningless now because they benefit the parcels under common ownership.
All right. So Vicky, what were you worried about something specific with that, or you just wanted to take a look at?
No, when he said they would be able to secure the property with their gate, I just wanted to know if it was coming all the way down on, for lack of better, this easement in front of the dumpsters or in back of the dumpsters. That's all. I just wanted to know. So, yeah.
That easement doesn't exist yet, though, right? That easement.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Well, Dougie's property. What? Yes. Whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to hearing back from you guys. And good luck with the Department of Health.
Well, thank you very much for seeing us.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
excited about the possibilities.
Thanks, everyone, for your input and feedback. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all.
Bye.
Good night. All right. Next up is the Pecumtuck. Is that how we say it? Valley Farm.
That's it. Well said.
Michael, this is Ray. Do you need me for this application or?
Yes. Let's
Okay.
let's not
Yeah.
leave it yet. Hold on. So if the applicant can, do we have anything to share, a screen share, or are you just going to talk us through it, or what's up?
Yes, I'm happy to. My name is Jan Johannesson. I'm from Kellert Sessions Consulting. We're the site engineers and planners on the project. I'm here tonight with Armand DBAs and Cynthia Filkoff. They're the project architects, and my clients, the owners of the property, Nick and Cricket, are here joining us this evening. I'm happy to share my screen. That's okay.
Yes, please do.
Let me know when you see a map in front of you.
Yep. See the map.
See it.
Great. So thanks for having us tonight and listening to our presentation. The property is 130 acres. It's on Prospect Hill Road, also fronts on Chase Road. It's vacant. About half of it is currently farmed. The other half is forested. So the flatter parts here in white are mainly farmland, and where I'm showing kind of steep slopes is the forested area. The property does abut the Columbia County border. It's in the rural zoning district. It's also within the Dutchess County Agricultural District number 21. Our office has walked the property numerous times. We've investigated wetlands and water courses, and we're illustrating on our plan here some existing wetlands shown in pink, and 2 water courses shown in a blue dashed line. The one along the easterly property line here is more prevalent. It's all the times that I've walked the property, it's been flowing. Crosses under here under Prospect Hill Road under a culvert. This other water course has been dry. Upon each of my visits, it's more of a dry drainage channel, but I suspect it does flow at certain points, and I've identified it as a water course kind of per your code, and we're showing the 100-foot stream setback on our plans. The owners are looking to construct a single-family house shown here on our master plan up in this higher elevation, and an accessory dwelling down here closer to Prospect Hill Road. The idea would be that we would construct this accessory dwelling first. The plans for this home are more advanced at this point in time. And then while this is being constructed and ultimately occupied, the owners would further the designs and construct the primary residence, so that it'd be able to live on the property fairly quickly, hopefully, and live there while they're designing and building their home. The principal residence, while not fully designed, we're expecting to be about 6,000 square feet in gross floor area. The accessory dwelling, we're showing at 2,550 square feet. That includes the first and second floors. It's a 4-bedroom residence. There is a finished basement, which consists of about 950 square feet. So all inclusive, we're at about 3,500 square feet for the accessory dwelling, which is about 59% the size of the proposed main house. The accessory dwelling per your code requires a special use permit from the planning board. We've reviewed section 275-56 of your code, which includes a number of provisions regarding accessory dwellings. And there is a provision that states that accessory dwellings should not exceed more than 1,250 square feet. However, there is a waiver provision. The code allows the planning board to increase the allowable floor area up to 75% of the principal dwelling. So as I stated previously, the accessory dwelling would be about 59% of the primary. So we've done quite a bit of investigation. My office, we've tested for septic for both the accessory dwelling and the primary residence. Those tests have been witnessed by the Dutchess County Department of Health. They were favorable results. We've also engaged the highway superintendent, Heather Emmerich. She's visited the property and she's in agreement with our proposed driveway location, which, by the way, follows an existing farm road. There's a curb cut for the farm road on Prospect Hill. We go back to the existing condition plan. This road here exists. It's a farm road, but very, drivable. And we're trying to use that same road as much as we can. Heather's visited the site. She has no issues with the location. She's identified that we don't need a culvert under the driveway apron. And we're in the process of developing the driveway work permit and the drawings that go associated with the design of the driveway. So initially, we're just going to be installing the driveway that serves the accessory dwelling. And then when we go ahead and, a year or so from now, when we're building the main residence, we'll extend this this driveway up to the main residence. We expect it to be primarily surfaced with gravel. I've provided some profiles of just the existing condition to demonstrate that we can meet your code requirements. We haven't graded out the long driveway yet, but I think it maxes out at like 10%, which is within your code provisions for maximum grade of driveway. This is kind of the site plan that we're looking for the cottage. In a minute, I'll pass it over to the architects and they can walk you through the floor plans and such, but it's the accessory dwelling. There's a barn building here adjacent to it. The septic system would be on the other side of the driveway. It would be a pump system. We did get favorable soils and perk results there. And we've also tested for stormwater mitigation areas. We've identified a location here that's suitable for stormwater infiltration. I think in the next week, we'll be submitting our health department application for the cottage to the health department for the septic and well associated with the slot. But I said that we did meet with the health department and everything seems to be going along very well.
Could I raise a question about the stream setback? Because
Yes,
that
ma'am.
seems to go right through the parking area and the barn is
This is,
within.
like you said, this is the stream here. It does flow water. Here's the setback. The entire shed or barn and portion of the parking area is in the buffer. We have looked at that a little bit closer since our submission, and I'm going to share with you an alternative in a minute that pulls all that out, completely out of the buffer. So I'll share that with you in a minute. We've tried to work on that since our submission.
Far off Prospect is the house?
What's that?
Far off the road is it?
Okay, so this we have a dimension here of 204 feet from the property line to the barn. The dwelling's a little bit, probably 60 feet beyond that. The alternative plan, which I think is actually our preferred plan, pushes it another 100 or so feet back. Well, not fully designed, this is kind of a schematic of what the main residence would be. Again, this area is presently forested. It sits about 100 feet higher in elevation than the cottage. We have tried to keep, there's a plateau up here, and, there's not a whole lot of steep slopes disturbance associated with it, although there's a lot of slopes kind of surrounding us. And again, we've identified suitable areas for septic that have been tested and witnessed by the health department. We've identified stormwater management areas, and we kind of shown schematically location maybe for a pool and for a tennis court. But again, these are kind of not fully designed, kind of more of a master plan type exercise to show you what the owners are considering here. Let me just present to you the alternative. I think it's a better plan. So here's just the cottage plan. Can you still see that? You see the? Okay, great. Here's the cottage plan, the alternative. Here again, here's the wetland or the stream, the watercourse, 100-foot setback. We've pushed the cottage and the shed about 100 feet back. So within that same field, but it takes it completely out of the 100-foot setback, including grading and clearing. Not that there's much clearing in it, there's an open field. And I think it maybe sits a little bit nicer on the lot. It's a little bit further away from the street. I think it will present better from the street. It is an attractive home that you'll see in a minute. But
Yeah, altogether better.
this is a gravel driveway, with the exception of an asphalt apron, which is required by your code and the highway superintendent had requested. So that's, I think that's it. We are requesting that waiver because of the size. And I want to make it clear that it's absolutely our client's intent and wish to build this accessory dwelling first before the primary. And that's kind of the presentation. I'd like to pass it over to the project architects. I'm actually going to share my screen and they can walk you through the floor plans and the elevations, unless you have any questions for me.
I had one question. So once they move into the other cottage, it'll just be a guest cottage that they're going to continue to own. And
Correct. Yep. And we'll show you the floor plans, and you can understand kind of the future use of that as kind of a, for the family. But yeah, they would continue to own and operate and be an accessory dwelling for the family. If you just bear with me, I will share my architectural drawings. Also included in our presentation was an updated survey. We provided the agricultural data statement since we are in the county agricultural district. While I believe this is a type 2 action under SECRA, we did prepare the short EAF. The deed was submitted. And I tried to provide a kind of a project narrative or an explanation of what we're trying to do here in my cover letter.
Jan, I think I can share my screen.
Okay, I have it up if that works for you, Cynthia. If not, I'll take
Sure.
it.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia Filkoff. I'm one of the architects on the project. And we're happy to be here this evening. Thank you for your time. We've designed basically a farmhouse for this accessory dwelling, and it's a colonial design. We think it's in keeping with the local farmhouse vernacular architecture of the area. And it's actually modular construction to allow us for rapid construction. It's a 4-bedroom home, and it's designed to look like it was built, 100 or 150 years ago. So I can walk you through these plans. If in the basement we have a lower level with a bedroom and a playroom, some storage, and a mechanical room. Very simple. A couple of windows. On the first floor, we have a great room. So it's a kitchen, living, dining, nice mud room, laundry, powder room, and a study. On the back side of the house is a porch. And on the side is a mudroom entrance. So it's very simple. Upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Again, it's just very simple. So the elevations you can see look like an old-fashioned farmhouse. So we have double hung windows on the lower level. Yeah, and if you make it a little bit larger, you can see the lights. So we have cottage style on the lower level, then eyebrow windows on the upper level, a classic farmhouse design with some classic detailing. The pilasters and the siding is detailed the way it might have been 100 years ago. Nice standing seam roof. And very, very simple, traditional farmhouse layout with shutters and a brick chimney, stone foundation, and a back porch. So going around, you can see the back porch is stone, and the side porches also. I think once this is built and finished, people will think that it had been there for many, many years. It's located in the meadow right as you enter the property, to greet people and who are entering the property. So there's not a lot of detail here. It's very simple. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do. So the purpose of the farmhouse, what is that going to be used for?
I can answer the question. It's Nick Hammerschlag. Nice to meet everyone, and glad to be here. We're going to live in it, my wife and I, my 2 young daughters, until the main house is constructed.
And then after, what is it going to be used for?
In-laws, brothers, sisters, siblings, cousins, other family members.
So it'll only be used as a guest house?
Primarily thereafter, yes.
Or what do you mean? I mean, will it be rented
Yeah.
out or?
No.
We don't have intentions of renting it out.
Okay. Okay, because I have some issues. I don't know whether Drew addressed this, but for an accessory use, it has to be compatible with the principal use and shall not be established prior to the establishment of the principal use. And that's set forth in 275-19A of our zoning code. The definition of an accessory dwelling is a self-contained independent dwelling unit, clearly incidental and secondary to an existing single family. So there's some legal questions which I have to chew into as to whether you're permitted to construct an accessory dwelling on the property before you have a principal dwelling on the property. So I don't know whether you want to have your own counsel address that issue, and I'm happy to be convinced that it can be done. It's an issue that I've had in another jurisdiction. I think Ray was part of that. Another town we both represent. But it's fairly clear to me that under the wording of our zoning code, we're not supposed to establish the accessory dwelling before the principal. So if you could have somebody address that and communicate with me and on that. I don't know if Drew has chewed into that issue or not.
Sure, we'll follow up with our attorney.
Right, right.
I
And-
think that what I would just like to point out the unusual circumstances that we're in right now. We're just trying to get things done quickly so our clients can move onto the property. I know that we did look through the zoning code on this, and we had reviewed it further. Armand, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Yes, hi, this is Armand DiBiase, architect. So we did speak to Drew about this issue, and that's why we were coming in with a master site plan to show that there was going to be a principal structure that was going to be built.
Yeah, I think there might be a way around this. And is Ray still here?
Yeah, I'm still on.
You remember the case we both dealt with, you know?
Correct. Yeah.
And I didn't have much time, and I tried to pull out my research on that, but there may be, we're going to have to, assuming we can get around that issue, there are going to have to be certain restrictions placed upon the use of the property and requirements that the principal use be constructed within a period of time, things like that. And I think that's what we did
Correct.
in that other case. So
I just want to, I appreciate that. And I just wanted to point out that this is still, it's a 3,500 square foot home with its own well and its own septic system and its own garage. So I mean, we're showing you our master plan that shows we want to do something more grandiose in the future, but this is a residence. And it's not going to become an accessory residence until we build another structure on the property. So just keep that in mind.
Could this be considered the principal residence until the larger one is built?
I don't see why not. It's a 3,500 square foot home. It's not
It
accessible.
will be our principal residence. So it's where we'll be living with
Yeah.
our family and sending our kids to school up there. So,
but then the larger one won't qualify as an accessory residence. I mean, it's a
No, but
very,
you can build two houses on such a large piece
gonna
of property.
It could be considered the
well,
accessory.
it's being proposed as an accessory dwelling to principal use. I mean, if they figure out a way around that, I'm happy to listen to that.
Yeah, we were just kind of under the impression that showing you the residential master plan was kind of key to allowing us to do the accessory in advance of the plan.
Do you have a time frame as far as the main residence, when that may be undertaken as far as the construction?
Yes, we are hoping to be starting construction in the spring. So we're in the process of designing it now. And given the current time of year. We hope to be able to get the infrastructure in as soon as we can get our SWIP permits approved, and then start the main house in the spring.
Yeah, we're hoping to start construction on the accessory like this fall. Have that constructed, maybe occupied in March, and then pull permits for the main house in the spring. But it's going to be a year of construction, I would assume, on that house. So we kind of need a place, or the clients are looking for a place to call home during that period.
No, I understand. That may not be a problem. If you're talking about building the main house 5 or 10 years from now, that would be a serious problem. But if you're talking about construction in the spring, we may be able to work with that.
Great.
All right, so it sounds like Warren just needs to interface with your attorney and chew that over, correct, Warren?
Yeah, Ray and I will probably chew into this. We'll discuss it. I mean, maybe with Drew. And again, we're going to need escrows established for this also. So who do we communicate with that?
Sean Pratt.
I'm sorry.
Sean Pratt.
Sean?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could just forward his contact information to the.
No, I know Sean.
Oh, you have.
Or a woman.
Just one other request, just understanding the timing that we're under, if the board would consider scheduling a public hearing for the September meeting, be much appreciated. I believe it's a requirement of the special use permit. We hope that between now and that meeting, we have some answers for you. We hope that we can get that scheduled this evening.
I don't know. I think I'd be more comfortable if we had, if we were a little clear on what's going on with that issue. Warren, what do you think?
I don't mind scheduling the public hearing. It may not be resolved on that night,
right.
But I have no problem with trying to schedule a public hearing. Ray, do you have everything you need on this?
No, that's one of the items I was going to mention. This is the first that I've seen it is tonight, so I haven't seen any of the application materials. So
Maybe premature if we don't have everything.
If a complete package could be forwarded to me, or if there's a hard copy that I can pick up at the town hall, that way
I'm happy to send you digital and hard copies. I just need your contact information. I'm sure I can get it from Drew or planning board secretary. But
send me a complete. I have at least some of it, but make sure that Ray and I have the same complete package. So when you send it to Ray, if you could send a copy to me.
Not a problem.
Michael, would we be holding the public hearing at town hall?
It's going to have to be a virtual public hearing.
Virtual public hearing is going to be. I'll look at that, exactly what we're going to do and what the requirements are also.
Okay.
Have you done any? Have you done any yet?
Not virtual.
I have not had a virtual one yet. No.
Okay, we've done a few in other towns, so
okay,
we can steer you in the right direction on how to do that.
And so, but we have to vote to schedule the public hearing.
Yeah, it's totally up to the board if you want to do it, but it's just with the understanding that we may not close and vote on this at that meeting. But if you want to get started on the public hearing, it would be good to hear. I'm assuming that this will not be controversial, but if we have any neighbors that want to weigh in on it, it would be good to hear that. And it's not a type. I don't think it's a type 2 action. So it is in my opinion, I checked all those sections of the seeker regulations, and I could not fit this into any one of those categories. So we're going to declare it well, let's see, do we have any? It's not a type 1 action. So the town planning board can declare it to be an unlisted action. and assume lead agency status for purposes of the seeker review, and determine to do an uncoordinated review so that we don't have to coordinate this with any other agency. Does that sound all right, Ray? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm fine with that.
So we have to vote on that?
Yeah, if you could, so we have that in the record.
So so it's uncoordinated review. Just list that again, Warren, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, so in my opinion, it's a unlisted action, not a type 2 action. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference in the review of the project. But the town board, the planning board should declare itself to be the lead agency and determine to conduct an uncoordinated seeker review of the project. So that's what you're voting on.
Can I have a motion to declare this an unlisted action, declare us lead agency, and determine to undergo an uncoordinated review of the seeker?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Having a second.
Second.
Ray, are you?
Anyone
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to.
Anyone not in favor of that on the board? No. Okay. So let's show that passed unanimously.
Sorry to interrupt. Ray, are you okay with the short form EAF?
Yeah, that's fine for this project.
Okay. If we need any more information, the applicant's engineers will supply that to us.
We need a motion to have a public hearing.
Yes, we need a motion to hold a public hearing at the September meeting.
So moved.
Second. Oh, sorry.
No second.
Steve, second. Okay. Anyone not in favor of having this public hearing next month? On what's the date, Tricia?
The 9th.
On the 9th. Let us show that passed unanimously also.
I'm not sure I'll be here for that, but Ray could, if Ray is okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. We can touch base beforehand.
Yeah, we'll coordinate that. So it'll be a public hearing for special permit and for site plan review.
Okay.
We had just made application for the special permit. If we require site plan, I can modify that form.
I think all special permits require site plan review.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and Tricia will get those notices out.
I'll send you the notice first, Michael, just to see, it'll be a little different wording with the virtual.
Right, we have to do the, that's
Yeah.
right. We have to do the wording of how we're gonna do this. So, yeah, we'll talk over the next.
Okay.
Are you gonna have time to, okay, well, let's shoot for the 9th.
What's your thought, Warren?
I'm just thinking about maybe scheduling the hearing for a later date in September. Then I'll, if I'm going away, it'll be around Labor Day, so it's around that time. And then I can definitely be here if we schedule for the next week. I don't know if that's a problem for the board, but
let me just look at my calendar. Hold on.
because we do have to get through this legal issue, so.
So you're gonna be away that week, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we usually go to the Cape for
Okay.
a long Labor Day weekend, so isn't it right? It's late this year, if I remember correctly, so.
So with the board, did we already vote? Oh, I guess it doesn't. Can we do it on the 14th, on the Monday?
No, I can't do it. Wait, let me get my calendar.
Okay.
Are the mailings the responsibility of the applicant?
No.
You pay for it, but.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't need anything from us in terms of hearing notices or mailings or anything?
No, just the escrow.
Got it.
And I'll establish an escrow with Sean for everything. I'm sorry, what date did you say for the next?
I was thinking
The next
Monday-
meeting is the September 9th?
The next meeting is September 9th.
Yeah, could we do it, can you do it September 16th?
Is it possible you can do it on the 14th or no?
I have a Rhinebeck Town Board meeting.
All right, let's do it on the 6th. Is the board okay with the 16th at the usual time, 7:30?
Okay.
Yes.
with-
Yeah.
Ray, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm free that night.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank you for your-
rescheduling for us.
Yeah, thanks for your cooperation in that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Ray, you and I'll talk about putting our heads together on that issue. So,
Yep. Very good.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Ray, we are now done with you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Aye.
Right.
Warren, we still need you. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm trying to share my screen.
All right. Is
Thank
Drew?
you.
Did we lose Drew? I guess we lost Drew somewhere along.
No, he's here.
Drew's here.
He's
All right.
muted, but
I'm
he's
here,
here.
Michael.
It was dark for a second there. Now you're back. All right. So the next thing up is actually not on the agenda, but it's an issue that came up close to the meeting time. We had a inquiry from a resident, Farley Chase, regarding a I guess he's trying to purchase a piece of property and doing a lot line adjustment, right? So I sent it off to Warren. Did anyone get to look at that email?
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Yes.
Night.
Take care.
Good night,
Thanks for
Tris.
coming.
I did look at the email.
Now,
So just so you understand, I'm not trying to be difficult on this, but we're getting into a very touchy ethical issue where I'm asked to essentially provide legal advice to a property owner. As you can see, we had 2 applications before us tonight. They retain their own experts, to analyze the issues. I feel very uncomfortable providing anything that could be interpreted as legal advice to Mr. Chase on this. But I did take a look at it. And the question I have in looking at the property, it appears to adjoin a town road, does it not? Or
No,
is
it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
It's
According to the
behind a
parcel
lot.
access,
It's behind
it
a
says
lot.
82, no?
The part that I saw today, we were driving on the road and Barry Chase was walking, so we stopped and talked to him. He pointed to a lot behind the Chase lot that's on Prospect, on Chase Road. And my understanding was that that the lot doesn't come all the way out to Route 82. Now, I could be wrong about that. I didn't look on
The
that.
email from Farley said that he had to get an easement from his parents in order to get out to the road.
No,
Right.
but according to parcel access, the map, it does border on Route 82. That's what I'm confused about.
So what is it?
Oh.
Is the lot has no access to any road?
Yeah,
it
it does, 82, according to the parcel access. So I'm not understanding what the issue is.
Well, the issue was that Farley said it
doesn't-
didn't have access.
Unless the parcel access map is incorrect, I don't know, it could be.
no, when you look at it, it does not have access to 82. It's,
This is the 260631.
correct.
Okay, so can you
Yeah.
see it?
82 is to the west.
And then this says 82 here on my map.
Oh, but that's just the county line.
That's the county line?
That's the county line, yes. 82 and Chase Road connect way farther up from there. You see, you have
Okay,
Chase
well,
on the other
let's
side.
assume then it's a landlocked piece of property.
Yes.
then to get access to that, he's going to need an easement.
And the family will give him one.
Right. So
And in order to access a property through an easement, he's got to get applied to the town board for an open development area approval pursuant to 280A of the town law. That's the most advice I'm going to give on this.
we just want to know where to send him, Warren. We don't.
Yeah, but this is something that his lawyer or, planner should be able to tell them in a heartbeat. And if I give him the wrong advice, then, I'm responsible for that. So yes, 280A, he's got to make a 280A application for accessing a lot through an easement or right of way. And that's made to the town board.
Got it.
And this is.
Yeah, and he probably, I think all of that property is in, he needs to go see somebody, because isn't it all
We
in?
got to help him with this,
conservation?
yeah.
Did they put all that in conservation and then you have?
Yeah,
to-
but they've already cleared it through both the Columbia CLC and Dutchess Land Conservancy. So both conservancies are fine with it, from what Barry said to me today on the road.
Well, we should have said that. I mean, that.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the issue of, you can't access a building lot unless it has direct frontage on a town road.
Right.
Or public highway. And this does not.
Right, which is why the family will give him an easement.
The easement is not the issue. Drew cannot give a building permit to a parcel that's accessed through an easement unless an open development area approval is approved by the town board pursuant to section 280A of the town law.
All right. So that's what I
Has
need.
nothing to do with it. The easement is one thing. Accessing the property and getting a building permit is another thing.
And we just needed to know that. That's all we were looking for, like where to
Yeah.
send.
Well, he had it. He knew it. It was in his email.
Yeah, he wrote all of that stuff down.
Yeah,
He
he
wrote
mentioned all of that, and yeah.
So Warren, we understand that this is all your advice to the planning board, not to the applicant.
Right.
Yeah, what I advise is the planning board, not the applicant,
I understand.
And the problem for me is that to be honest with you, when I give advice, regardless of whether it's gratuitous or not, I'm legally responsible for that. So if I give somebody the wrong advice gratuitously, then I could be sued for malpractice.
But if
And
someone
so it's
comes
not,
to Drew with
I'm
an issue-
uncomfortable doing that.
But if someone comes to Drew with an issue and they're like, well, I want to do this, and Drew doesn't know the answer, like this is definitely this process, we need to be able to tell them something. I mean,
Then Drew-
they just go talk to the attorney. This
Drew
went to-
comes to me, and then I talk to Drew. I don't deal with the applicant directly.
I wasn't asking you to. Drew, can you unmute a second here?
No, I mean, that's fine. I think the question got to you, Warren, maybe just not through me. So
I'm sorry, what?
it was an answer. It was a question I didn't know how to answer.
Right, but he had it.
That's why
He
it
knew
ended up going
he
to
knew
you.
he had to get a 280A. He mentions it in his email, and then he says, "Or is it better for me to apply for a variance to the zoning board of appeals?" I'm not going to give him that advice.
Right.
That's not.
Oh, I agree.
I'm not doing. Sorry.
Okay.
But it was an opportunity for us to get educated by you, Warren.
You
not-
haven't heard anything on 280A. It's one of the most esoteric areas of the law. But the town board deals with that. He's got to get I'm representing a private client, for example, in a town where we're making an application for 280A access to the town board of that town. So he's going to have to hire somebody to help him through that process. Then I will advise the town board on his application.
That's what we're right. I mean, we just needed to direct him, not looking to what department, what board, Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be difficult. It's just you have to understand it's not appropriate for me to give property owners gratuitous advice.
We got it.
We just need to route them where they need to go. We'll talk to the town board is what we'll do. Which is, this is, by the way, this is where it came from. This came from Dara, sent it to me.
I know. I saw that. I saw.
All right. Anyway, well, thank you, Warren.
Okay.
We're done with you. And Drew, we're done with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a
All right. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
All right, we have one other, we have minutes. Did everyone get to look at the minutes and have any changes that weren't discussed on email? No, so can I have a motion to accept the July minutes?
So moved.
Second? Very good. All not in favor? Let it show that that passed unanimously. Now I need a motion for the special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second? Jane?
Yep.
Jane seconded. All not in favor? Okay, let it be shown that no one was, I mean, everyone was in favor. And those minutes have been accepted for the special and July meeting. Where are we at now? Okay, so one other item that we started to discuss before the meeting actually started. Vicky was talking about the situation with the, with COVID and doing these meetings remotely. Vicky, do you want to talk to everyone?
I just wanted to know, with all these maps and with everything that we have, if we couldn't do a workshop, like if we could not go to the library upstairs, social distance. I think some of this is hard because a lot of this meeting, I have trouble understanding everybody. And sometimes Warren's internet is not that good. Tonight, some of the architect stuff was not heard. So I was just thought that, maybe we could just have like a workshop and like go over some of this and all know, so that we're all on the same page. We all know what everybody has said and we all know what maps they're looking at. And
so if we had a workshop meeting, well, first, I'm not sure that everyone's comfortable about going into a building and having a meeting in that manner. But say if we were to agree to that, we would still have to like videotape the whole thing, broadcast it, and have.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that I know other towns are doing it, and I guess I should look in to see how they're doing it and why,
there's also some of us, with the issues, we're trying to avoid this thing. Whether we're older or have.
I am too. To be honest with you, I'm still in phase 2. So, but I'm not really going anyplace, doing anything. Well, forget it. It was just a suggestion, and we'll just keep doing it this way.
I mean, my opinion has been I'm going to ride out as long as the state allows us to do it remotely, just because of my situation. But I mean, anyone else want to pipe up or have a different view? I'm definitely, we'll listen.
Yeah, we could do that. Sorry.
I would just like to have things at the town hall and stuff at a timely manner, and just so we can do something. It seems like a certain day to pick things up, and people bring things in later. I don't know what to tell you. You get these emails. Anyway, just like that to be a little bit more.
Well, and some things aren't going to Drew. Some things don't get to Drew. They get.
No, I understand that. But we have to drive to the town hall to get stuff.
That has to be corrected too. This stuff has to go either to Drew or to Trish.
Could stuff be mailed to us?
You know what? I want to pick up a hard copy and just keep always getting stuff, because I have problems too here with my internet. So I'd like to be able just to pick up a hard copy all the time instead of just relying on my computer and where I am, to be able to download stuff.
Well, okay, so that's something we can definitely do. I'll be more aggressive, making sure they have hard copies delivered a week before the meeting. Say, because our deadline is 2 weeks before the meeting, right? So if they get an application in, they email it in and say a hard copy has to be there a week before the meeting so the members can pick it up and review it.
Yeah, that would be much better than getting more than 50 pages to review for tonight at 7 o'clock.
Well, that's what,
Well, right. That was not,
But no, you're right, Mike. I would like to see that. I'd like to see that more organized, like a week in advance or something. That'd be fine with me.
Well, it either goes to Drew or Trish, as far as I'm concerned. And then we don't get emails from other people saying, oh, the
Correct.
stuff is here, you go to pick it up, and it's like, oh,
Correct.
no, Drew has it. So I would just,
But if you see, Drew will usually send an email out saying like there's two maps or 3 maps or whatever at the front desk or whatever. Or I guess he put a box there for us. Is that right, Tricia?
Yes.
Yes, and I apologize. I think the applicant had emailed and said there was hard copies at Town Hall, and I didn't realize they were with Drew, and I emailed everyone and said they were available, and I'm sorry. Then I was wrong.
Not you. It was not you. Trust me.
Now, Tricia, what have you been doing about, you've only been taking appointments? You haven't actually been going in on Thursdays or?
I have been starting to go back in. Sometimes I can't go in every Thursday, but most Thursdays I've been able to get in there.
So that's probably a key, like that Thursday morning is a great time to probably go and pick up the week before the meeting. We make the deadline a week before, which is a Wednesday. The Thursday morning when Trish is there, it's a good time to get in there and get your material.
Yeah, and you guys, you can just shoot me an email, make sure I'll be there that Thursday, whatever Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. I know we're all dealing with this. It was a little rough tonight, like you said, Mr. Larson's his connection was a little hanky, but we got through it.
I heard like about half of that, what Doug said.
Well, maybe on the video will be better. I don't know. All right. Does anyone have anything else? No. Well, thank you, everyone. As usual, this was a little bit of a long one. Thanks for everyone sticking it out, and everyone stay healthy. And I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second it.
Anyone not in favor of adjourning the meeting? The meeting is adjourned, and till next time, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you all.
All right.
Hey, Michael. Oh, sure.
Yes, I'm still here.
I have a question. So
Yes.
are we meeting, is it on the 9th and the 16th? Or are we just